Hi, my name's Ben, and welcome to my channel. Today I would like to talk to you about a very interesting observation I've made that respects maybe many things, but especially Mormons and Muslims. Now, there are a lot of things that Islam and Mormonism have in common. A surprising number of things, even. I'm not going to do a full recap of all of the comparisons, and there are plenty of great resources out there, even here on this website, that you can use to look into that topic. Some examples, just really quick, might be things like polygamy, or even infighting in the religion immediately upon the death of their central prophetic figure. There's actually a surprising number of almost eerie, direct correlations in the Islam and Mormonism stories. And it really got me thinking. One thing I've also noticed is that when you listen to Muslim or Mormon apologists, they even tend to have a lot of the same arguments that they'll make in favor of their religious views, maybe especially when arguing with Christians. Now, one thing that they both often tend to do is say something along the lines of, "Hey, dear Christian, don't you believe in roughly the same types of morality as I do?" And the Christian will usually say something along the lines of, "Yes, generally, we're kind of on the same page." At this point, the Muslim or Mormon apologist will usually say something along the lines of, "Well, don't you think that's evidence that my religion comes from God? That the positive things you see in my religion, things that we could agree upon across those religions, are evidence of the connection to the same divine authority and power." They'll even, sometimes, when they're being particularly shrewd, reference biblical passages which would generally indicate that this is a good way to evidence the influence of God. I'm going to read one for you right now. So, the one that often comes to mind is Matthew 7, starting at verse 15. "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns, or figs from thistles? In the same way, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will know them by their fruits." So if you're a Christian and you believe in the Bible, you will look at this and say, okay, well, right, good tree, good fruits, bad tree, bad fruits, pretty straightforward, right? It's a good way to argue, and I think that's why we often hear the Muslim and Mormon apologists using it. It seems on the surface that if Mormonism or Islam are producing positive moral effects in the adherence to either religion, based on this understanding, as I just read, this is evidence of the good fruit of those religions, presumably implying that they are good trees. or good religions. I want to challenge that idea. I think sometimes we've been far too gentle with Mormons and Muslims on this kind of topic because we haven't called out what is bad. Especially when you're debating in good faith with someone that you want to consider a friend or even a brother. You don't want to say negative things, and I'm in a room by myself right now, you know, it's easy enough to speak more directly and honestly. Things like polygamy, not to just touch on that issue, are examples of bad fruits. There are many examples of the bad interspersed in with the good when you look at both Mormonism and Islam. I don't want to list all of them or really get into that, I guess, but I would say there are many. That's not to say that the average Muslim or the average Mormon are not potentially even generally living very good lives, and probably are coming from a place that without those religions they would maybe be doing a lot worse. I don't want to discount that, and I don't think you want to either. I think that is the positive perspective. But what would you say if I handed you a piece of fruit and I said, this fruit is mostly good? It's delicious. It's filled with, vitamins and minerals, and it will taste very good. But the center of it is made of poison. Would you say that's a good fruit or a bad fruit? Even if something is mostly good, if it errs even just a bit, if it poisons at its core the thing that is generally good, this is worse. This is worse than me just handing you a rotten apple, because you're not going to eat the rotten apple. But if I didn't tell you that the fruit that looks to be healthy, that looks to be good, is secretly hiding something nefarious, you might pick it up. I think this is the reality of what happens with Mormonism and with Islam. There's a lot of redeeming qualities in both religions. I mean, genuinely I say that. I think there's so much obvious good that comes out of both. And yet a single missing note ruins the whole orchestra. I think that's what we see here, and it's something we need to call out a little bit more directly when dealing with apologists from either of those two religions. In spite of our similarities, in spite of our desires to be more generally aligned with each other, I think there are significant differences. Things that you can't look away from if you're being honest. And on those notes, I think it's easy to see that the poisoned apple is a bad fruit, and that would make Mormonism and Islam bad trees. Thanks.